Very glad you could join us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Anyone relying on trustworthy information from journalists and policymakers to educators and the public, AI is becoming a strategic tool in education, from admission and resource allocation to student performance tracking and academic research and writing. AI in decision-making is fast becoming the norm. In January, the UK government awarded funding to 16 educational technology companies to build teacher AI tools for feedback and marking. Schools in some US states are already testing AI tools in their classrooms. While in Africa, Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in Morocco has become the first university to introduce an AI-powered learning system across the institution. Interestingly as well, the theme for this year's United Nations International Day of Education, observed annually on January 24, is AI and Education, Preserving Human Agency in the World of Automation. Key words here: preserving human agency, especially as educational institutions embrace this integration of AI to enhance learning experiences and improve institutional effectiveness. In academic work, AI can generate tests, improve writing style, and even analyze data. It can also generate entire pieces of work. Here lies the challenge. It is becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish original work written by an individual and work generated by AI. What dangers are we to stay alert for with more AI integration? What should be the acceptable guidelines for its use in academia? Now, while we are asking, is there a chance there is ongoing mischaracterization, a lumping of all education tech that might be obscuring the true potential and meaning of AI-driven technologies in education? Well, I do have some guests here to help with insight, but I will introduce them after this short break. To stay with us. Today, I'm lucky. I have two studio guests with me. We have one guest online. Here in the studio, I have Chief Technology Officer, Minad Global Technologies Limited, Afolayan Oluwatobi. Also here is financial analyst and cybersecurity expert, Emmanuel Alabi. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right, I'll start with you, Emmanuel, and just get some clarification. In my introduction, I talked about a mischaracterization, a lumping of everything that has to do with edutech. We know that there is some distinction. Yeah. Digital aspect of it, automation, right, and all of that. Is there perhaps this is obscuring the true potential of AI-driven technologies that we currently have?
Okay, thank you for the question. So, you're right. I think somehow because of the advent of AI now, everyone has will tend to bring everything together into AI. So even before AI, we have edutech. We have some inventions that have helped education, like whiteboard. Like, for example, back in the days when you want to do your project and all of that, of course, you can go online and check past researches that have been done that are online. But the difference is with AI, we have what we call machine learning. So AI will go all around and bring all these things together into some way. And another thing with AI is that people cannot use it to probably you just give it a project topic and it just comes up together. And so for someone that wants to write a project, you have a chance to go online and do your research and do all of that with the previous technologies that we have. But with AI now, you can just put it there. And so when people see such project work now, they tend to feel like, oh, it's AI. And sometimes it's not.
Lucky for those that had internet to do, what's that? Is it literature review?
Right.
That could kill anyone if you're not serious.
Right.
All right, Afolayan.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the conversation in your circle about AI's growing relevance in education?
Yeah, okay. AI is growing relevance in education. just like as he mentioned, when it comes to education, the impact or importance of AI cannot be neglected. Now, when I was running my course, my master's course, I remember that most of those things actually use AI for them, making the processes more easier.
Okay.
Yes, for projects.
Yes.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that we still have some tools aside the AI, talking of Prebus, Rephraser, then Grammarly. You understand, all those stuff will actually help in making the project look more presentable and in a better way. Okay. So when it comes to AI as well as students, you know, I think is an added advantage to us. Yes, because it makes learning very much easier for us and research as well, in brief, because it just goes directly to the point rather than searching web.
Yeah, but there is a chance that there are concerns that these days students are beginning to outsource thinking.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to AI. You preempted me. I wasn't ready for that question, but your response made me ask you, is there a danger of that exacerbating? I think I should take that to you. Is that a danger of, you know, this outsourcing of thinking, critical thinking to AI?
Yes, it is. I think lately we are being over-dependent on AI. So recently, in this group chats of some academias, right? So we, the class rep or whatever was just supposed to pass information to us that, oh, Mr. So said we should come and pick up our materials. And then it goes, dear, blah, 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 kindly, blah, blah, blah. And I was telling my friends that, what's wrong with this person? Just tell us, right? So it feels like I'm for someone that in my industry, you can go all night and start typing from now to tomorrow. And then literally just see people, someone just come and few minutes or few hours submission of a project or something, they just download, and all over the place you're seeing bogus grammar and all over. So I think the danger there is people are beginning to outsource our sense of reasoning.
Sacrifice competence. So you perhaps you find people with degrees and certification that they cannot actually defend because of over-reliance on AI.
Right.
So what is the concern here for the future of education if we are already now, I mean, AI is barely getting started. If we are to believe tech guys like you, we're just getting warmed up to get the benefits of it. And already we are concerned about the impact on learning in terms of, you know, outsourcing of thinking. But some would argue that that is not all the case.
All right. Just like basing on, to me, I felt the case of AI and academia is more or less related to what we call hard work and smart work. Yeah, there must be a striking balance between the two. You understand? So when you do the mental process of thinking, it's actually taxes your brain to think outside the box. But when it comes to the smart part of it, is all this AI of a thing. Now, like you said, when AI is giving you a source, you don't actually apply it directly. You make some editing and you add your own knowledge. Even if you want to write a letter, maybe to someone, a relative, if you input it, AI will give you an idea of how it's meant to be, but you have to put it in your way that it represents your own mind to it. So I think the two must be placed side by side, because we had the level we are going, the area we are going to, we must make maximum advantage of this AI. Yet at the same time, we should not allow the improvement in technologies to weaken our mental capacity of thinking.
So what are the opportunities here that we are looking at for AI in education? I know that there are other areas, but we're focusing on education now. So what are the opportunities that, you know, might not be obvious, but is indeed coming from AI for education?
Yeah, most of the opportunities that are coming from AI is when it comes to, there are some activities in school which are actually tasking, but with the help of AI, talking of registration, payment, some processes, AI could actually handle it perfectly without human interference. Just inputting the data, then we expatiate it, then actually draw it to a meaningful conclusion. Yeah.
Okay. What about you? Something to add to that? Some of the opportunities that AI present?
Right. So, like you mentioned, academics is quite, looking at it, it's quite bogus, it's quite large and all of that. So, AI can actually help, students, teachers can come up with, after teaching some coursework and all of that, the lecturers or the teachers can use AI to come up with questions and all of that. Also, students can use these tools also to make researches and all of that. Even as someone in this line of work and all of that, we can. And recently, I was having this course, and towards the end of the course, and I was supposed to come up with a project topic. I had lots and lots and lots of things to do in my head, so I just had to use one of these tools to bring one or two together, and I was able to come to a good conclusion. My project, I so loved it, which is what I'm currently working on. So yeah, AI can help in so many instances.
Smart decision making,
right.
Improves that.
Right.
But there are concerns, because
right.
I was reading something in preparation for this conversation about the guidelines. People are now using it to write entire journals.
Right.
People are using it to do all kinds of stuff. What are the ethical concerns when it comes to the use of AI for research, for writing on whatever level, and just basically for keeping everything sane?
Okay, so I think there's this thin line between the integrity of what you're writing. So the question is, who then owns what you're writing? Are you the owner, or AI went online to bring all these things together, or the people that dump these things online, various archives that AI went to pick from? So, and one thing that you have to, we know in academics is that, especially when we're writing research and all of that, you have to make adequate references. And where it is yours, you have to mention that it is yours. So are we now ready, when you rewrite your papers, you do your research and all of that, are we ready to state it clearly that, oh, this is AI generated research? I don't think people would do that. And so now it comes that, so are you now plagiarizing? Which is one of the things where the whites now, when you write a simple English as simple as substantial, they say we're using AI, because our people have bastardized.
Well, they are now the inventors of those that are creating AI are now working to find ways to identify AI generated literature, but that's a conversation we'll explore in a bit. I understand we now have our guest joining us virtually, biochemist and researcher Adisa Damilare. Thank you very much for being here with us on One Slot. Let's start by asking what the conversation is in your circles about the opportunities that AI present for education.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, I've been following the conversation for a while, and I think the two other speakers have said a lot as regarding AI. AI to education is more of a strategic partner now. It's more of a strategic partner. But the misuse of AI and the level at which AI has actually intruded the academic system needs to be checked. So, just like you said, just like the other guy speaker said, the plagiarism aspect of not going to get neglected, and the accuracy. I tell them that information. So it compares a lot of instructions together. So because of this, people don't come like journals and then publish. Now, the journal himself do not have integrity. The integrity is the scientific word. Integrity, whether you hold your work. If you have people familiar with publication, you will understand. Towards the end part, you have to state the conflict of interest. You see people writing no conflict of interest. But now everything is now AI generated. You just come and then compare packages, and people are now getting media to do the real work.
Yeah.
So, just like my mentor would say, for every good thing, there's only a bad a bad aspect of it, and for every bad aspect, there's always a good. So AI has improved the academic system. It has accounting and it has the accounting.
Yeah, talking about some of the, I mean, we're going back and forth between the opportunities and the challenges, so we'll just go with it, the flow. There are concerns. AI work with data that it generates, right? And then it has training data. There are fears that it may reinforce existing inequalities due to biased training data. Explain to layman what algorithm bias could be. I'll put that to you, Emmanuel.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So there's this thing with algorithm. So for a social media savvy person, so it's more like, let's say, Instagram. So what the content you feed on most, that's what you have on your feed. So it's almost like even on TikTok, we have what we call FYP. So what you feed on most, religious videos, they come up often. And that is what AI is doing now. So for example, if you want to learn something about history of Nigeria, for example, you know, we have our past heroes now. Some, because of what we learned in social studies and all whatnot, they deemed some heroes and some not so much. And so when you go online and type some of these heroes, right, AI would describe them rather as this demigod, right? Whereas our parents that were there might tell you that, no, it wasn't like that.
Not,
right.
I have had instances, because in the course of, over time, we all now use AI to help improve our writing.
Right.
But I did a tiny experiment long before this conversation came up, and that was to feed AI wrong information. And it fed it right back to me about, you know, concepts that had, when it gave me a definition that this is the concept, I said, no, you're wrong. This is, and it apologized.
Right.
Yeah.
That the concept that it has defined is what its data had, but it was the wrong definition. So what is the chance that that could continue to, you know, and there is this challenge as well, that people who don't have adequate information tend to believe hook, line, and sinker whatever their apps generate that is an answer to a question. So what should we be worried about this instance when it comes to education, and how can we mitigate these challenges that keeps popping up with AI?
Okay.
Yeah, the question
All
is
right. Just like you said, I think the best way is, when it comes to AI, when you're giving a particular request or demand to AI and it's giving a wrong answer, one of those things that are needful when it comes to academics is we need to visit previous search papers that have been published. You understand? Not like just come online, because like you said, AI could give a very wrong answer to your question. But once you are basing your foundation on what has been pre-existing, you understand, something that has been, the fact that has been pre-existing, even if you are making a request from AI, you have an idea, okay, this is what I'm working on, this is the probable answer. But AI could actually make the work more beautiful in a furnished way. Yeah.
okay. Let me come to you, Adisa, and just ask this one. How important is it? I mean, mostly we've talked about some of the challenges that is coming up with AI. So I'm just going to ask, how important is it that AI literacy is integrated early in education? Do you advocate from primary to secondary school, and the ability to filter that information?
Yes, I think what we have first is interdisciplinary engagement. Interdisciplinary engagement. Of course, we cannot shy away from the use of artificial intelligence. You know, it's taking the other foot. Now, AI is getting more inclusive. Like people are now using it. You know, even the phones we're carrying out, that's a little bit of one or two artificial intelligence functions. So people at primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, the use of AI to continue to see the light of the day. But interdisciplinary engagement, the best and perfect to regulate it. Now, just like people that are in media, I don't say much about media, but I can engage them and learn more about that. So relying on database alone is not the solution. Just engagement with people with other disciplines. Recently I come across AI assisted operation. AI assisted operations. I think that's in the medical field. So AI assisted operation now. And before we know it, years to come. Even now, the so-called people that are dealing with bioinformatics, whereby they use predictive tools to tell you this particular company is drugging this particular company. It was not like that before. You can have with the use of AI, you can have compounds that are druggable, compounds that are toxic, and every other thing. So just interdisciplinary engagement with people that the developers. Yes.
All right, Emmanuel, let me come back to you. Something you said earlier about using AI to improve your writing, and your supervisor was happy with it. But don't you think you owe a responsibility to, in terms of, we're talking about, you said earlier that we need to fact check, previous work and all of that. While we're doing that, is it not important that we acknowledge the use of AI in some context in our writing as a way to ethically present this information, that whoever is reading does not think that you are some genius that's coming up with that particular piece of information? What do you think about that?
Okay, so I think because of the age where we are right now, I think it is important that we are truthful about what we're doing, or sources and all of that. So while I was talking about myself, about the project I wrote, right? So at that point, I was trying to link feeds, like 3 feeds together that I was into, right? And while I was writing my project, of course, I made use of these tools, also AI. But what I made sure I did was to reference the researchers, that's previous writers of some of this.
So, but how do you verify the accuracy of the information that was generated by that in the course of preparation? What did you do with that information?
All right. So what I mostly do, right, when I'm doing stuff like this, is to try to check different sources.
Okay.
All right. So when I try to check different sources, so I'll be able to come to a logical conclusion that, okay, this thing I'm talking about is quite the right, instead of just taking things hook, line, and sinker, like you mentioned. Social media lately, people just, especially on X, will just say at Grok, what is so, and someone will just say, oh, come and see what Grok said. And you'll be like, come on, you can use your heads now. This thing is not even correct.
I mean, I wish we had more time. Afolayan, talk to us about the future of AI in education. What should we expect, and what should we prepare for?
Yeah, talking about the future of AI in academics, I am strongly convinced that AI will have its place in academics in the nearest future, whether I would like it or not. We can't dance back, we can always dance forward. So either we go with the flow, or the flow overtakes us. Yeah, like standing on the existing protocol that I mentioned earlier, that now there's place of hard working and smart working. The two are very important. None of the two can be scaled away. So when it comes to, like we were saying, if we are using AI to generate any stuff, it should be on an existing, something that have been published. Papers that have been written, they have been published. You can't just come up to AI and say, okay, here's giving this opinion, like you said. Because when he was talking, I was looking into that. Is it really possible for me to write a project and I reference AI?
No, but we are evolving. The world is, that's why I want us to think outside the box. We are evolving. AI is here to stay, and it will get more advanced. So people will continue to rely on it. Remember at the beginning of this conversation, I talked about outsourcing thinking to AI. People that don't have in-depth knowledge of subject tend to believe what AI generates, and the laziness of it to go and verify that information is becoming less. So the onus lies on us, when you do use AI, to acknowledge it some way that AI enhanced my presentation. Not that you didn't know what you were saying, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, what I thought about that is, actually the decision is more on the people leading us in the academia.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm saying so is that when I was defending my project, I can't actually come out and say, it's normal now.
Yes.
Except the academia people approve it that it's right that you can have this. I can't with confidence.
True. I remember when I was doing mine. Then we didn't have the AI. So you cannot even reference Wikipedia as a source in your citations. So, I mean, you guys are really lucky now. Gentlemen, we have to leave the conversation here. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time. And, of course, Adisa, we see you. Thank you very much for sparing the time to talk to us.